This last week, we've had a brand new festival hit Monster Hunter Wilds. This time around, it is the Festival of Accord Dream Spell, which is the spooky season festival, and it brought with it a whole bunch of new event quests that give you materials to craft some spooky themed outfits, as well as all of the previous event quests that we've had in any of the other festivals. So just in case you might have missed any particular material or armor piece that you wanted to craft from one of the previous festivals, now is the perfect time to jump back into Monster Hunter Wilds and grind those materials, since pretty much everything is available. However, it also brought with it a brand new Arc-Tempered monster. This time around, it is the Arc-Tempered Nu Udra, and with that, we got the Nu Udra Gamma set, which has a whole lot of new skills, and I've been thinking up of ways to improve my current Gunlance build, and so I came up with a brand new Gunlance build, and also I figured I'd do a guide to maximize your effectiveness on the Arc-Tempered Nu Udra fight. Because even though the current version of the Nu Udra fight doesn't really have any particular time restriction, so it's not a super hard quest to do, I believe that on the 29th we're going to be getting the free challenge quest version of it, and for that one there's going to be a certain time limit that you'll want to be under in order to earn those pendants. So if you guys want to get ready for that and get some practice in, this is the video for you. So we're going to start things off by going over my new Gunlance build that I've kind of optimized, and I've been doing the Arc-Tempered Nu Udra fight quite a bit to really optimize this build to the nth degree, and this is kind of what I came up with. And it actually uses 3 pieces of the Nu Udra Gamma set, which I didn't really expect. I feel like it's kind of not really the first time, since with Duna I also did 3 pieces of Duna for my latest build. But this time around, it's just like so incredibly offensive. Like, there's just so many damage skills in this build that it's gonna be pretty friggin' crazy. So let's get things started. Naturally, when it comes to this build, this is mostly designed around Gunlance, so that means that I'm trying to maximize the attack damage, not really going after affinities, since shells don't really scale with affinities, so it's not really a super desirable stat for myself. But there's still some room in the build that you might be able to, you know, optimize for different weapons, stuff like that, so this might be useful for other weapons as well. Now, starting things off, the 2 gun lances that I'm going to be using in this build are the Argenesis as well as the G-Lawful Boars. This is just to have like 2 different gun lances in there in case, oh, the monster went to sleep or something like that, and you want to pull out the G-Lawful Boars for 2 Wyvern Fire Blasts. It's pretty nice. But yeah, so as you guys can see on screen right now, this is the whole build. So we got our Genesis G-Lawful Boars. We're using the Udra Gamma helmet, the Numinous Shroud Beta chest, the Udra Mire Basis Gamma, the Numinous Overlay Beta, and the Udra Mire Greaves Gamma. And then we have a charm, and this is going to be the thing that some of you guys might not be able to get, because whenever it gets the charm, RNGesus, all of the usual stuff. But the charm that we're using is a charm that has 2 points of load shell, so that maxes out our magazine, and 2 points of counter strike. There's probably even better versions of this charm out there, I would imagine, since this is only a rarity 6 charm. But still, these are 2 very desirable skills for myself, so this is the one that I'm going to be using. It also has a tier 2 decoration slot, as well as a tier 1 both armor slots, which is why I said there's probably much better charms out there. But the idea is, if you're playing with a Gunlance, you're either going to get a magazine charm, or an offensive guard charm, or an artillery charm, because those are the most desirable skills. You can also get some type of like guard up charm if you happen to have one of those. So these are kind of like the things that you want to go for, because these are the skills that you're going to be needing to have on weapons. So you can see what are the decorations that I put on this set. A couple of notes. Naturally, this build is mostly designed around Arc-Tempered Nu Udra. This is why you see 3 fire resistance decorations in there and 2 adaptability decorations in there, which, just in case you guys aren't aware, adaptability pretty much negates the flame mantle of Arc-Tempered Nu Udra, which basically makes him a lot easier to deal with, since there's not that constant ticking fire damage that he's constantly doing. That's the reason why that's there. So naturally, if you're trying to use this build on a different monster, you will want to use different level 1 decorations. Naturally, just choose whatever strikes your fancy. There's really no right or wrong answers here. This is all about you guys just choosing what works for you. Now, continuing onwards, another thing that you might want to change if you want to use this for a different weapon, naturally you're not going to need load shells, so just choose some other thing that you might need. You might not need artillery, replace that as well, and you might not need offensive guard if your weapon doesn't have a shield or is a great sword, because obviously great sword and offensive guard are also some pretty cool things to have. Another skill that you might want to change is the evade extender. Depending on your weapon, evade extender might not be quite as useful, and this might actually be a benefit for weapons that rely on affinity, because you can maybe replace the evade extender decorations with maximum might, and then you will also get a little bit more affinity into your build. I don't know. I just work on stuff for Gunlance. That's my thing. And then for other builds, you guys will have to adapt as you see fit. Another thing is, in this build, since a lot of you guys will likely not have a load shells build with Counter-Strike, you can also sacrifice some mobility in the form of replacing those evade extender decorations with Counter-Strike, depending on whether you want that or not. But to be honest, for the new Udra fight, I would actually want to have the 3 evade extender if you are playing Gunlance, simply because the mobility is going to help out immensely. So anyways, in a finalized build, as you guys can see, we have level 3 offensive guard, level 3 artillery, level 3 guard up. The level 3 guard up is mostly because I don't really have like a better way of getting guard up, even though that big new attack that he has, that he just shoots out oil then explodes it, that attack deals a ton of damage, and if you don't have enough guard up, you're going to really feel it, so you want to make sure that you're topped off if you're not going guard up 3. Then naturally you still have load shells 2. Handicraft level 1 is just the throwaway skill that comes with offensive guard. We have only level 1 guard. That's a little bit tricky, but you do want to try and get as many perfect blocks on this as possible. Level 5 resentment that comes from the new Udra pieces, and you're going to find yourself often having resentment up. At least I definitely do, because even if you block, you're still going to be taking chip damage. Then there's level 5 burst, level 5 agitator. You can replace the agitator with 1 level of burst. That's kind of like interchangeable. I like burst more. I don't actually know if it's mathematically the best way of going about it, but whatever. Level 3 Counter-Strike, Fire Resistance, Evade Extender, Speed Eating, that comes as a bonus from the Udra Mire Greaves, so if you don't have a big stock of max potions, Speed Eating is going to help you out as well. Level 2 Adaptability, Level 1 Divine Blessing, and Level 1 Coalescence. In terms of set bonus, we get Bad Blood, which is kind of worthless on the Gunlance. It's just like, oh, it's a consequence of how many new Udra pieces we ended up using. We got Zoshia's Pulse, which is Super Recovery 1. And then we also have Lord Soul Guts Tenacity, which gives us the usual bonus for while at the beginning of the hunt, you're going to have a little bit more attack. And then if you end up triggering your Moxie, then you're going to have more defenses. So it's always useful either way. Now, let's jump into the new Udra fight itself so that I can give you guys a couple of tips as to what you can do to maximize your chances of success. So let's have at it. This is the beginning of the hunt. We're going to start things off. We're going to pop off the Rocksteady Mantle straight from the get-go. The idea here is because you want to get as lower time as possible, if you pop off the Rocksteady Mantle early, what that's going to allow you to do is maybe it will become available a little bit sooner, closer to the end of the fight, so you might get 2 uses out of it. I don't think I get 2 uses out of it in here because I'm just way too focused on the fight. But yeah, also you can have your luring pods already equipped, which you guys can see that I have here. Also, my apologies on the quality. I've been having some issues with OBS, so it is what it is. But yeah, these luring pods serve 2 uses. In the event that you get grabbed by his attack, you actually can shoot a luring pod into his eye to jump off. And at the same time, we're going to be using these luring pods in the 3rd area transition to prevent him from moving. Because the 3rd area I think it's the 3rd area transition. The 3rd area transition is the one that takes the longest, and it is likely going to be the one that's going to really destroy your time. So you don't want to use, at least in my opinion, you don't want to use the luring pods in this 1st area. You want to use them in the 3rd area. Now, in the 1st area, you might want to use a trap. But yeah, usually we start things off with a sneak attack. Then we're going to go just for the half Wyvern Stake Blast combo, just so that you can get the fast Wyvern Fires. You want to pop off 1 or 2 Wyvern Fires, depending on what he does. Whenever he does this teleportation thing, you want to sheath your weapon and move around, because he usually is going to follow that up with the Cone of Fire. Like that, and this is just like massive opening for damage. So you're just like free as a bird, deal all the damage that you possibly can. Bob's your uncle. Now, and here he's going to do some of his new combos, so just try to adapt, try to block, or, you know, do some evasive maneuvers. That right there is the tell for his grab. He actually didn't grab us because we do have guard up. That is one of the advantages of guard up. The big wind-up attack, this is something that you should be familiar with. This one I think is new, the like sliding tentacle in the back. But yeah, just gonna keep at it. Try to keep dealing as much damage as you possibly can. This isn't actually my best attempt. We even get hit here. That was crazy. We didn't trigger Moxie though. I was so greedy. But like I was saying, this isn't my best attempt, but my best attempt might have had some crazy monster interaction because I got it like 11:15 or something like that. And this one was 11:54. But yeah, still getting slapped around by tentacles. But we have enough defense to just keep at it, so just keep at it. There's really not much to say for this phase of the fight. Now, we are going to be using a trap in this phase of the fight whenever we're able to exhaust him, simply to get just a little bit more DPS uptime. With the Gunlance, I don't actually think that the trap in this part of the fight is going to be that important because we only get like one extra combo in, but for other weapons you might be able to get more value out of it. Another thing that you might want to get used to is Sacred Recovery. I personally haven't used a whole lot of Sacred Recovery, but I was getting tossed and turned so much. So I was like, yep, I'm going to use Sacred Recovery. Now here, when he's like this is when he's exhausted. This is when you can kind of like get maximum value from your traps. So I do believe that I'm going to try and trap him here, just to get a little bit more bonus DPS uptime. We're just like trying to squeeze as much damage out of that initial phase. Man, he almost got me right there. That was absolutely crazy. But yeah, he's gonna do this. He's actually enraged again, so we missed our window for trapping. Just keep on doing your thing. Pay attention to wounds. Wounds with Gunlance is annoying because there are often times with Nu Udra where he will end up having like you know, a wound in a spot that you can't reach. Once again there, when he teleports back, always sheathe your weapon and then run in from the sides so that you can avoid the cone of fire and get a nice little opening. Another grab attempt. Sometimes I'm able to like perfect block these and you can actually counter, do all kinds of nice little shenanigans. Keep your Wyvern Fires on cooldown if you are using the Gunlance, because Wyvern Fire is still one of your biggest sources of damage, particularly in this fight, considering how big the target is, but also how much it moves around and your own limited mobility. So there it is. Open wound right there. Capitalize. Capitalize on all the wounds you possibly can. Wounding is the name of the game. Follow that up with Wyvern Fire. Boom, 235. It's pretty nice. Pretty nice damage for a Wyvern Fire. You got to start recognizing those tentacles. See, that right there is why Evade Extender is so good. If you have Evade Extender 2, you might not be able to pull off what I just did. See, I was able to completely dodge the explosion. So in this situation, we're not going to need a block. We're going to get to just dodge away and then instantly go in for punishes, which is really, really good. This is why Evade Extender is so valuable in this fight. It's for situations like this. But not just that. Nu Udra actually moves a ton. Particularly the Arc-Tempered version of him just like moves all over the place all the time. It's crazy. Yeah, we're coming up on like the 5-minute mark of the fight. This is usually, if you are dealing decent enough damage, this is usually around the time where Nu Udra is going to move over to the next section. After these double attacks, by the way, there's a big opening. I missed it, but there's like a wound that you kind of can capitalize on from there. But we missed the window there because we went too far. But yeah, if you see those two attacks, you actually want to try, if he's doing them on you, you want to try to just perfect block both of them, and then you're going to get a nice little opening at the end of it if you land the focus strike. I think that's one of his new attacks as well, the one where he spins off like diagonally. Again, moving away from the explosion. I went a little bit too close, which is actually going to cost us the bonus damage because we're just going to be going with the increased resistances now. Now, this is the make or break part of your run, I feel like, depending on the weapon that you're playing. For me, as the Gunlance, this is definitely usually the make or break part of the run. So what you want to do is naturally replenish all of your sharpness, all of the usual maintenance stuff that you want to do, and you want to select 2 mega barrel bombs. Now, something that you also want to bring is you want to bring 2 more large barrel bombs, as well as 2, I think it's devil shrooms, whatever is the material that you need to combine 2 large barrel bombs into 2 mega barrel bombs, which I usually just have in my inventory regardless, because I always like carrying as many bombs as possible. But at this stage, when you reach like the 100 meter mark, you want to pop your ghillie mantle so that you can be completely hidden. And so in this phase transition, where he's at right now, there's 2 sleep toads. And there's 1 stalactite that you can drop on him. So what you're going to do, and you guys are going to see me do this, you're going to move to the toad that is up in front. This is going to require a little bit of practice, maybe a couple of runs so that you can easily identify where the toads are. But you're going to move to the toad in front, and you're going to wait just a couple of seconds, what you're going to see me do here, right? This is the toad in front. You wait a couple of seconds because he's not in position to be stunned right now. But he will be. So after you wait a couple of seconds, kick the toad. This requires a little bit of practice. And then, if you're quick enough, you can kick the toad, come up behind him, sneak attack, and that will push him into the toad. He now falls asleep. Now, what's going to happen is there's another toad right here, right on his ass. You put 2 bombs here, 2 mega barrel bombs. Move back a little bit. Don't do this right on top of him. I don't know if I messed this one up or not. Because if you do it right on top of it, you do that, which I did. I made a mistake. What happened there is my my hook slingshot, whatever you call this, the friggin' claw, my slinger hit him when I was trying to pull the stalactite. So we actually lost on a bit of damage here. But basically, make sure that you are clear from Nu Udra when you are doing this, and then you slinger pull the stalactite. What's going to happen is stalactite's going to fall on him, deal 1,300 damage. This is actually 1,800 damage if he's sleeping. And it's going to drop on top of the bombs. Bombs explode, and the bombs are also going to trigger the sleep toad that's right behind him. At this phase, you have enough time to do like 1 big attack before he falls asleep again. So in our case, we're going to go for a wyvern fire. Boom. And he falls asleep again. Now that he's fallen asleep again, I'm gonna swap gun lances for a fresh gun lance to have 2 wyvern fires. Jump off. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go craft the 2 mega barrel bombs. You're able to do this probably faster than I am because I'm a boomer. I'm slow with these friggin' menus, dude. And then we're gonna go ahead, place these 2 mega barrel bombs in the back. Then we're gonna whoop out this gun lance and we're gonna blast him twice with 2 wyvern fires. Bam. And another one. Bam. And now, we're going to Sacred Recovery, swap gun lances again to the main gun lance that we're using. And then we're going to move because there is another stalactite that you can drop on him right here. So now you're going to lure him over here. Sometimes it takes a little bit. This is why I said this is the make or break. In our case, it was not a particularly good one because you can see that he's doing these stupid attacks rather than coming over. So you just have to wait a little bit more, be patient. I don't know if, depending on your weapon, it's always worth coming to this stalactite, but just know that it is there. It is an option. I usually try to get it. So he's going to be moving towards us now, and I'm going to drop it on him. That's 1 more, and boom. Right to the dome, and now just obviously deal as much damage as possible, and he's very shortly going to go into his 2nd phase transition, which is another very important part of the fight if you want to get as low a time as possible, because you're going to need to get a little bit lucky with how the monster behavior is going to happen in that next phase. Again, Sacred Recovery. We're also doing like the slam down attack because it doesn't deal as much mounting damage, because I'm actually not trying to mount. If it mounts, it's whatever, but I'm not really trying to go for it. I do think that we get a mount at some point. This is a mistake that I tend to do often with the Gunlance, and this is a problem with Nu Udra, which is it's kind of annoying to figure out whether or not he's got a wound because there's a lot of like red particle effects on him. So oftentimes I find myself, oh, I think there's a wound there. Let me try and capitalize on it. I'm not sure that I would recommend doing that. As a matter of just go for damage. It's just I have this thing where I can't control myself and I just need to go for wounds. And I'm like, oh, wounds back right there. We're actually going to try to capitalize on that. This is a really bad position. We're fighting in the ledge. So the camera is wonky. Everything's just like a big old mess. This is terrible. But you know, this was like, I don't know, freaking 50th art tempered Nu Udra. And I thought that overall the attempt was somewhat clean, so I just focused on using this one for explaining to you guys. Like I said, this isn't even my best attempt. It's just the best attempt maybe doesn't give as much, it doesn't give as much context to the things that I was doing during the fight. So we did get a mount here. We're going to be making sure to grab 2 wounds. One for the head, one for the back. We're going to finish in the head because the head is very hard to reach when it comes to the Gunlance. So we're going to finish right here. After busting the head, we're going to go straight into that back wound. Because usually I don't even know like when he's going to instantly phase transition out of nowhere like that. So I'm always trying to squeeze as much damage in as possible. I was already going for another Wyvern Stick full blast, but he did move away. Now, on this particular section, this is when we're going to get the monster confrontation. And there it is. He's going to beat the crap out of this Gravios right here. Now, you want to go ahead and place a trap in this area. I'm actually going to back a little bit more just so that you guys can see. So this was the mount. Just go over here. He's moving away. I want you guys to pay attention to where we move, because this is the ideal scenario for where he's going to go away afterwards. So we're going to go in the cave from this angle. And then if you just move past them into the exit directly in front of you, not the one with the waterfall. Sometimes he does go to the waterfall, but that is usually because you've used the luring pod somewhere. Most of the times, if I don't use a luring pod, he's going to escape via this exit. So you place a trap here so that when he's leaving, this is when you want to score your kill for the best times. I mean, you can... If you're a much better player than me, you can probably score the kill significantly earlier, but I'm just saying, for the average mortals like me, you know, that is going to be the ideal situation to kill him. Now, Rathalos can spawn here as well and help you out some more, but usually you have like your one monster and you just need to make the best of it. If you're able to CC him in some way, like maybe you're running a paralysis weapon, that's good, because the monster will abuse Nu Udra and help you out significantly. But, you know, if you can't CC him, just deal as much damage as possible. Like, wound popping, also very good, because it's going to CC the monster temporarily so that the other monster can get a couple more pot shots in. Do pay attention to that one, that little back tentacle slam that he does, which is very, very annoying. But yeah, we're going to go ahead, just deal as much damage as we can at this point, because this is the final race against time. This is also when your luring pods are going to come into play as well. So you're going to wait, not wait, you're going to deal as much damage as you can, and then eventually he's going to phase transition one more time. When he goes for that phase transition, he should hit your trap, assuming that you've placed your trap correctly. So you're going to get the time of the trap to deal damage, and then when the trap expires, that's when you're going to be shooting your luring pod at him, which, as you can see, he is now moving away. He is skulled. I actually did it before he hit the trap. And by the way, in case you weren't aware, if you're in focus mode with your weapon out and you press L3, that is going to shoot your pod, which for luring pods, this is perfect. So you just press L3 with focus mode on, shoots the pod without you even having to sheath your weapon. But yeah, we did the luring pod before the trap. You can do it before or after the trap, doesn't really matter. I was just a little bit too eager there, but yeah. We're going to get the time from the luring pod to deal as much damage as we can, which we are just completely wasting at this point. I know if there's a wound there. I'm trying to get that wound to get some more CC. Damn. I actually was hoping that would fire up my Wyvern Fire. It didn't. He's now going to be moving away. As he's dragging himself away, try to continue dealing as much damage as possible. Earplugs might also be a useful skill here. He's now in the shock trap. And we're going to just, you know, this is your do or die moment. And he obviously did die. Right there. So this one I believe was like 1150 something, if I'm not mistaken.
Great job, partner.
I'm going to skip over to quest complete. And there it is. Yeah, this one was 1151, but like I said, I've had one where I've had 1115. But then again, I just realized while I was doing the guide here, during this run, I did trigger Moxie in the first phase, so we lost a lot of damage. So it actually should be fairly easy to get a better time than this, but this particular attempt allowed me to showcase all of the mechanics of the fight and all of the ways you can kind of like exploit things to your advantage with traps and all of those shenanigans. The one thing that I didn't show, I guess, was the trap in first area. I would recommend using like a pitfall in the first area whenever you exhaust him, which will be pretty good. But anyways, that's going to be it for now. Hopefully this guide helped you guys out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the build. And if you have any more tips or any adjustments that you would do to the build, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and notification icon, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe. Peace out.